Hi, folks. This is Joe Biden.
Joe Biden, the Democratic presidential nominee, is, well, a little dull. But after 4 years of this,
President Trump has fired another government watchdog.
Disinfectant knocks it out in a minute.
dull might seem pretty appealing to American voters right now. At the beginning of August, The Economist's forecast gave Biden a very high chance of winning. If he does win, forget dull. Biden could be the most ambitious Democratic president for a generation. This is why. All re-election bids are, to a large extent, referendums on the incumbent president, who normally has the advantage. Before COVID-19 hit America, President Donald Trump had a 50-50 chance of being re-elected.
As the coronavirus pandemic ravaged America, and as America saw unrest and protest that it hadn't seen since the 60s, his chances now fallen.
Nationally, Joe Biden's polling numbers are high, and they're also high in battleground states. He's leading in the blue wall states of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, states that Hillary Clinton lost in 2016. He even stands a fighting chance in solidly Republican states, such as Arizona, Texas, and Georgia. Pretty fly for a dull old white guy.
He's clearly not an inspiring candidate in the way that Barack Obama was, or even in the way that Bernie Sanders or Elizabeth Warren were. What he does have is a sort of wide appeal that makes him acceptable to the broadest possible range of voters. And one of the things that's extraordinary about him is that he has always sat directly at the center of his party, and he has shifted, as his party has shifted left, he has shifted with it.
A politician's ideology can be measured based on how they vote. The closer a score is to -1, the more left-leaning a politician is, and the closer to 1, the more right-leaning. This shows the scores of all of the Democratic senators who Biden served with during his 18 Congresses. The average Democrat score during that time was -0.306. Biden's was -0.314, placing him right in the middle of the party.
Now, what that means is that in this particular election, he was not among the more progressive candidates. That turned off a lot of progressives, but I think it signaled to a lot of other people that he was not radical, he was not frightening. On the other hand, the fact that he has shifted as his party shift means that he has been open to change. So I think there's this paradox, right, where progressives want to nominate the most progressive candidate they can, but actually there is an argument that if you want to enact progressive policies, it's better to elect dull candidates who are open to change than it is to elect extremely progressive standard bearers who are going to frighten off a lot more people.
Biden's policies show he is open to change, but that much like his candidacy, it's best achieved in a non-threatening and gradual manner. Take healthcare. Though Biden doesn't support the more progressive proposal of Medicare for all, he does back a government-run healthcare program that people can buy into.
Now, because that program is going to be so big, it can keep premiums down. It's going to look really appealing to people who have to buy insurance on the private market. It could eventually lead to employers just giving their employees money to buy insurance. So that could lead to the same place, more or less, that Medicare for all was leading, but in a more sort of gradual, less disruptive way.
There's no more consequential challenge than the onrushing climate crisis.
On climate change, Biden was lukewarm on the Green New Deal, backed by those on the left. But he has proposed a $2 trillion environmental plan with huge investment in green infrastructure.
He has pledged to make America carbon neutral by 2050. So again, it's a sort of gradual plan that is no less ambitious for being gradual.
These policies set him apart from recent Democratic presidents.
Bill Clinton was an extremely popular president in his time. He was sort of playing on the field that Ronald Reagan had set. meaning there is a sense that people were turning away from big government. His signature policy on welfare reform, for instance, he was very tough on crime, kicked a lot of people off welfare.
We have to end welfare as a way of life and make it a path to independence and dignity.
He was not terribly progressive, but that was the field that was left to him to play.
But Biden is playing on a very different field. Americans' appetite for federal government intervention changes with every presidency. They are more in favor of big government now than at any point in the past 68 years. This gives Biden the opportunity to be more ambitious than his predecessors.
Yes, we can.
Obama represented change in who he was. But as a politician, he's instinctively cautious, and he sort of governed really like a center-right president. Joe Biden does not embody change, but because he is so widely acceptable to so many people, and because the Democratic Party has moved left, and because the last 4 years have been so chaotic, he has the space to govern much more ambitiously than Barack Obama did.
Having ambitious policies is one thing. Getting the legislation passed is another. To achieve that, the Democrats will need to control both the House and the Senate, as Biden well knows, thanks to almost 5 decades of legislative experience. In 2018, Democrats retook the House of Representatives, giving them a 36-seat majority. But in the Senate, Republicans have the majority. In order to take control of Congress, the Democrats will need to hold their majority in the House and flip at least 3 Senate seats if Biden wins, and 4 if he does not. And taking control of Congress is looking possible, thanks in part to Biden.
Because Joe Biden is so broadly appealing to so many people, he has long coattails. He helps the image of the party.
There's nothing we cannot do if we do it together.
If people want to see his policies enacted, they know they have to elect a Democratic Senate and Congress to do it.
Yet a simple majority is no guarantee that Biden would be able to pass major legislative changes. They could be blocked by an arcane political custom called a filibuster. But there's another way Biden could deliver change, one which many presidents have made liberal use of, and that doesn't require Congress. By signing executive orders.
He could roll back Trump's executive orders on immigration. He can roll back the Trump administration's rollback of environmental regulations. It's going to be tough to enact his healthcare plans without legislation. But on immigration and environmental policy, there's a great deal he can do as president without Congress.
Climate change, along with COVID-19 and the Iran nuclear deal, are global issues which demand a global leader. And it's in this role that Biden could have the most wide-reaching political effect. His vast foreign policy experience will give him the tools to demonstrate an ambition for true international leadership that has been missing for the past 4 years.
Biden was on the Foreign Affairs Committee in the Senate for a long time. He would like to see America step back into its role as leader of the free world. And I think there's a sense that a lot of democracies around the world would like that too.
And there's another way that a Biden presidency could have an impact long beyond his own term in office. At the age of 78, Biden could be America's oldest ever president. But he has grand plans to future-proof the Democratic Party.
Look, I view myself as a bridge, not as anything else. There's an entire generation of leaders you saw stand behind me. They are the future of this country. They're the people who are going to...
Joe Biden does say that he's a bridge to the next generation of Democratic leaders. And what that means is he will come into office, whether he serves 1 term or 2 terms, there'll be another generation of Democratic leaders who mature under him. He knows he doesn't represent the future of the party, but he is the way for the future of the party to emerge.
Currently, Biden's odds look good. If you click on the link above, it'll take you to The Economist's most up-to-date forecasting. But President Trump still has time to take decisive action on coronavirus and curry favor with the electorate. Biden could be an ambitious president, but ultimately that ambition will amount to nothing if he fails to win.
I'm John Fastman, The Economist Washington correspondent. To keep up to date on all the issues shaping the 2020 election, subscribe to our Checks and Balance newsletter. Just click on the link opposite.